Well, hello. Welcome to the show. It is Sunday. Is it? What month is it? It's June. It's June 2nd, 2019. So, anyway, YouTube decided to be stupid today. And so that is why our show is a little delayed. Zach, how's it going?
All right.
So, anyway. But yeah. So, what's new this week? Anything?
Well, I thought that my monitor had killed itself yesterday. But
Wait, what? Which one?
my central monitor.
Oh, so like your
following a
main
trip
one?
to Micro Center and two things purchased. Both a potential new monitor. I say potential because if this continues to work, I will bring it back reluctantly. And also a universal power brick. Now, so this all began a few days ago when I noticed that every time my floor AC unit kicked on, the monitor would restart itself.
Your floor
it would
AC unit, like
Yeah,
your
it's
your
like the
surge
floor-
protector.
No, my floor AC unit, air conditioning.
Oh,
Because it gets hot in here,
Yep.
man.
well, yeah. Our systems are basically giant heaters, like space heaters. It's
And
great.
so-
It's great in the winter, isn't it?
I noticed, well, I mean, I had it happen like once or twice, and I was like, huh, that's weird. And then I noticed that, around the third or fourth time, I was like, wait a second, the AC just kicked on.
It's probably
then
it's.
I noticed it happen again, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And I thought that it was an issue with the AC because, apparently excessive power draw can be a symptom of a bad compressor in your AC unit. That sucks. Because I like this thing. This thing is just an absolute.
No, you're
lifesaver.
probably pulling too much power off of one circuit.
Well, and I did shuffle outlets around.
Oh,
and I
okay.
wasn't getting any better. The same thing kept happening.
Okay,
So-
are you sure that those outlets are not on the same
I'm
circuit
not
though?
sure. I have no way of
See, because
knowing. But now here's the thing, though. I've had the same. Nothing's really changed. Nothing's really changed since last summer when I used this AC unit all summer. Nothing's really changed since the last month or so that I've been using it.
depends
And
on
now
how much.
suddenly this starts to happen.
Well, it
Well,
depends
I
on
don't
how
know
much is
why.
on that circuit too.
But
Depending
So,
on what's
the other
on that.
thing is that no other devices were affected by this. Only that monitor. And so I took. I changed the outlet around. I tried to use an extension cord from far away on another circuit, and it was still having a problem. And it just seemed to get worse. Like it reached a point where it wouldn't even finish powering on before it restarted itself. And
Yeah,
so I was like,
maybe
"Oh,
you
that
do have a
sucks."
dying monitor.
Well, that's what I thought. And I went to Micro Center and I went to Batteries Plus looking to buy an adapter for this thing. And the only thing that they had was a universal laptop power brick.
Wait,
And so
I'm
they were
sorry.
like,
Back
this
up.
might work.
Where did you go?
I went to Micro Center and I went to Batteries Plus.
Oh, okay.
And so I walked out of Micro Center with the universal laptop power brick and a new monitor. Because I was kind of leaning towards, it's going to have to get replaced. But I plugged in the new adapter just out of curiosity, and it's still working. This was like 2 hours ago.
Oh, is this one of those ones that has like the
The tips that you can
Right,
switch out
but
to
like-
different sockets. Yeah.
right, but it's like it looks like a computer like laptop charger.
Yes.
It's one of those weird external ones. It's not an internal power supply in the
Yeah,
monitor.
and that's what this monitor has. It has an external brick.
Got it. Okay, so you've swapped out the external brick now, and it's working fine.
And it's still working, yeah.
Well, then maybe it was
I
something
mean-
with the power supply. That could
And
be.
that's what I was thinking. I was really surprised because everybody said, that's probably not it, but it might work. You can try. So
I don't know. I don't think it's as
probably
crazy
going
as
to
people are
reluctantly
saying.
Bring this monitor back. This is a 1440p 24-inch panel. It has G-Sync and FreeSync in it, and it's factory calibrated.
How much
This thing
was it?
Open boxed. This thing was open boxed for like $249. Normally like a $400.
So
monitor. I was
so
like,
do you do something stupid now? Well, I don't know how much desk space you have. You could do a
I'm
quad
not.
quad
I'm
monitor
not.
setup.
If I was going to do that, it would go on top of the central monitor. But I don't have the means to do that right now.
Nah,
Like, I just can't. I have a 3-monitor mount, not 4.
I know, just set it aside for now, and then when you
But,
get
like,
around to it.
Ugh. I know, and I still want to do that because I got a really good deal on this.
So
cool
are
monitor.
you gonna use so if you do end up doing that, do you game on all 3 monitors with
No.
no?
But anyway, I'm gonna probably bring it back tomorrow. Whatever. I don't know. This thing seems to be working fine. I don't really have a problem with it. I really want to try a adaptive sync monitor though. I hear they're really nice, but I just don't think I can justify it right now.
Really? Well,
Like maybe after I upgrade my computer, I can.
here's the
think
thing
about
though. Here's the thing. Do you hang on to it right now and use that as your new upgraded monitor when you get your new system?
Well, again, that's a thing that could happen. I don't think so though.
Dude, think about it
It
though.
sucks.
I'm sorry. I don't want to pressure you into it, but dude,
I know.
open box, like great
Like,
deal. Where are you gonna find
and-
that again?
I know. I'm so sad. I'm like,
So-
this is like the most bittersweet that I've.
So
been
what is
about
your
my device,
what is your
you know, being
justification?
resurrected.
What is your justification for? I know, I love that. What is your justification for not keeping the monitor? Like you've already spent
Well,
the money, or do you not?
Because I spend the money very reluctantly.
Well, of course you're very frugal like me. You don't want to spend money if you don't have to.
But yeah, I acknowledge that this is probably a real nice monitor. I haven't even plugged it in yet. I was shocked when I plugged the AC adapter at replacement, and I was like, wow. I saw it kick on, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna shut off in like 2 seconds, and then it powered on, and it stayed on, and I was like, oh.
Sidebar.
interesting.
Sidebar. So here's what Zach does. Okay. Hang on. Let me hang on. Let me.
What?
Okay.
What are you doing?
So sidebar. So here's what Zach does. He should unbox the monitor if he hasn't done it already. Put it up on the desk. Plug it in. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Now, let me tell you something.
Hey.
There is no box. That's why it was so heavily discounted, was because it didn't have a box or documentation or anything. It's just a monitor and a power. I'm fine with that. I don't care about that. That's fine. I'll take $150 off for that. But still, you know, it is
Right. So let me ask you: is it worth
not a small amount of money.
Yes, you spent the money reluctantly, but dude, like, if I'm gonna get a super sweet deal on something, and like, okay, yeah, I maybe not necessarily need, like, I maybe don't necessarily need it right now, but if I'm gonna get a super sweet deal on something, and like, why would I pass that up?
And that is valid.
I will
is
say
something
this.
that I would probably do later on anyway. Upgrade this monitor to something nice like that.
Right, but
And
where are you gonna find a deal like that again?
you're right.
That's
And
the only
I don't
thing I'm
know.
saying.
I don't know what I'll do.
That's the only
The
thing.
other thing that I was floating around in my head though is that maybe I can keep it and I can just I could just sell the monitor that I have since
Well, I
apparently it
was
works
gonna
fine.
suggest that too, or maybe you sell one of your other monitors,
No,
swap them
I
around.
like these other two. These are fine. I don't have any reason for that.
Yeah. Or stick it around and have it, store it somewhere. You might use it at some point. I don't know. You don't seem
It's
quite
possible.
you
yeah.
don't seem
I mean,
you don't seem quite as crazy as me when it comes to like having extra hardware around. Like I literally like yeah, but okay, come on.
No.
How many systems do you have sitting around your house? I have like
one.
yeah, well, and your gaming laptop. So there are those. But like
Yeah, my old laptop just kind of sits in the corner.
right,
and-
but literally think about how many different systems I have.
Yeah, you have a lot of stuff laying around, don't you?
I've got the Mac Pro, which is out in my storage shed right now. I have the Mac Mini. I have my MacBook Pro. We have a ProBook 4510S in the house. That's technically my mother's now. I have a really crappy HP laptop from like Walmart that I need to get rid of. I have an old Dell Inspiron, which is running XP because that's my XP box. That I haven't really done anything with, but I wanted a vintage like XP gaming machine. Let's see, Redmond, which is right next to me, my main system now. Maverick, which is my old system, which is going to be the new HTPC for now, but I might actually end up building an actual HTPC. And then I think, did I name that Casper? Which is another Dell box that I've got sitting around. I have my little Acer 2-in-1, and I have a Gateway laptop that is for my DJing company, and I have a Gateway desktop that is a Linux box right now, and I think that's it.
I think that's it, he says.
Oh. Hey, at one point in time, they all did have a purpose, but, you know.
I don't know what I'll do. I mean, maybe I'll just fish around and see how much a monitor like that would even go for on the used market. It's in perfectly good shape, you know, just a
that's all I'm saying.
A wet cloth and a better Windex, and it would be fine.
Right.
It'd be looking brand new.
When I think about, like, okay, yeah, I hate spending money if I don't have to, but when it comes to technology, like, yeah, I still kind of watch things and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I wanna upgrade the graphics in Redmond, but like, I'm not just gonna go out and buy a new graphics card. But if I found a really, really sweet deal on something, even if I was like, I probably shouldn't, but holy crap, this is a sweet deal, it's something I want, I'd probably take it.
Yeah.
That's just me. So, typically though, when I walk into a store, this is me. Walk in. Oh, this is, never mind. Because I look at the price tag.
I mean, it's, I don't know. Maybe I will compromise and I will see about selling the monitor that I have.
Yeah. But no, if I find some really great deals on stuff.
If I get $100 for this monitor, this was like a $200 monitor. But, I mean, it's like 2.5, 3 years old. It's probably seen quite a lot of hours turned on and just left on and used and whatever. But it works fine. It's got a new power adapter now, I guess.
Right. Selling point.
Yeah. Other than that, it's like, if I get $100 for that, you know, sure, I'd do it. The one thing to consider is that since this newer monitor is a 1440, I would have to figure out how I'm going to, I would want to scale all of like the Windows UI elements and stuff like that to match the same size as the 1080p monitors that are next to it. I'm not sure how I can do that. I know that if you have just a just like a singular like 4K or 1440p or whatever panel, you can scale things however you want, right? But I'm not sure how to scale it per monitor. Like, I don't know if you can do that. You can
change the resolution per monitor, but you can.
Well, yeah, but why would I buy a 1440p monitor
if you're wanting right? If you're wanting the UI stuff to be the same size, you can. I think you can scale.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. But can I scale per monitor?
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know how that works either. So that's worth looking into.
That would be too, for sure. Anyway, all right, let's talk about some tech stuff here. This is kind of funny. So, Target recalls own brand Lightning cable over fire risk. So Target has issued a recall for 90,000 of its Heyday Lightning cables after it received over a dozen reports of cables smoking, sparking, or igniting.
Or otherwise combusting.
Oh, like, kind of like, the RX 2080s? Or the Samsung Galaxy Note 7?
Yeah, I think spontaneously combust is not something you want.
Right?
Your phone charger to ever do.
It was a lightning cable. It was for the iPhone. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, I guess those people whose phones probably got torched by these things, they can buy a better phone now. Thanks, Target.
Exactly. So according to a recall notice issued by the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, there have been 2 reports of people suffering finger burns from the cables, and they can also pose a shock hazard. Okay, that's never good. So the recall is bad news for Heyday, Target's first ever consumer electronics brand. Whoops.
I've never even heard of that.
No, it's because it's brand new. Speaking to Forbes last year, Target Executive Vice President and Chief Merchandising Officer Mark Tritton said that the Disruptor brand had been designed and developed internally at the retailer. The recall notice says that defective lightning cables were sold as far back as June 2018, the same month Target launched the Heyday brand. Now, the USCPCS, which is that consumer thingy, safety commissiony thingy, says that any customers with an affected cable should contact Target for a full refund. The cables are purple, green, and blue in color. They have model number 080088261. And were sold between June 2018 and January of this year. Oh. You know, I'm sorry. Target is not an electronics store. And I think they're trying to be slightly. And it's just...
Yeah, I pretty much only ever go there to buy food.
Yeah. It's not an electronics store. So... Like, let me ask you this, okay? Because I was thinking about this, right? So I live in a very small area. Like, I don't live in a large metropolitan area. So my options for things are pretty limited, which is kind of annoying at points in time. So really the largest, like, tech retail center that I have around me is a Best Buy. Is Best Buy really, like I feel like it's like a tech store, but like it's kind of sort of a... I don't want to be super mean. Like, I was going to say it's a sad excuse for a tech store, but... you know what? It's more consumer-minded tech, I think.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Absolutely. What did you think?
I want something... I've never been into like a Micro Center or an AliExpress.
Oh my god, a Micro Center is heaven, I swear.
Dude, I would...
That's the only brick and mortar store that I've ever been to where you can just walk in there and you can just talk to somebody about a motherboard. You know, be like, hey, I'm thinking about a new, you know, this, and this for my computer. Hey, what do you think about this? And
Dude,
they'll be able to just talk to you on that same level.
Right, exactly. Like
those people,
that's what
nerds
like us need.
Components. Nobody else there, no other store that I've ever shopped at has ever delivered that. Like, that's crazy.
For sure.
I know there are other stores that I've heard of a store called Fry's that.
Oh yeah, yep. Fry's
similar.
Yeah, Fry's AliExpress.
Similar store, but I've never seen one.
Yeah, I think they're like maybe out on the coast or something like that. But all right, moving on. Can't innovate my rear anymore, or can't innovate anymore my rear, proclaimed Apple executive Phil Schiller when he introduced the redesigned Mac Pro back in 2013. It was meant to be the future of the Pro desktop, but it certainly wasn't. 4 years later...
the trash can?
I don't know. It might have been. 4 years later...
Damn.
4 years later, Apple was forced to admit that the Mac Pro was a mess after some of Apple's most loyal customers claimed the company had lost touch with its Pro users and truly lost its way. Really? Really? Yeah. If Apple's ready to unveil its new Mac Pro on Monday at WWDC, I might need to check that out. There can't be any bravado about courage or innovation. It should be a time to prove that the company has listened to those who have felt underdeserved and rejected. So, this says Apple does need to wow us with another innovative design, not the trash can. Although, how appropriate. How appropriate, right, Zach? It needs to get back to the basics. Apple has a chance to show it can make a truly impressive PC. Really? I thought Macs weren't PCs. I thought a Mac was a Mac.
Well, I work on a lot of MacBooks, and I swear to God, some of the newer MacBooks just have some of the most infuriating design decisions. The keyboard and that touch bar is just the weirdest thing ever.
I thought the touch bar was kind of cool, but like, I don't know how functional it really is.
It's mildly novel. I've never even felt the need to use it though when working on a Mac.
I love this. Apple's Mac Pro looked pretty, but it was a classic case of form over function.
I think that pretty much everything that Apple makes is a case of form over function.
Oh, for sure. Although, I think my mid 2012 MacBook Pro that's sitting next to me, like, okay, maybe didn't have the greatest hardware in it when it was new, but like
You upgraded it.
I did.
You put more memory and SSD in there, didn't you?
I did, yes. But like
Kind of unfair then, huh?
I think it's still been a solid little machine for me. It's held up. It is rolling with the punches, but
In any case, it's got a better keyboard than those
oh, for
darn new.
sure.
I swear, in the pursuit of thinness, Apple has
Right.
truly
And I've talked
desecrated
about
the
this.
keyboard.
I've talked about this before too, and that is
We've
I will
talked
take
trash
a
about the keyboards all the time.
right, but I will take a thicker laptop over a thin laptop because you know what I really appreciate having on a laptop still, or any system for that matter.
A lot of things. There's a lot of things you can say, right?
I/O.
I/O, yeah. I was gonna say something about USB ports.
Yeah, I/O. I want to be able to plug in a device without needing a frickin' dongle. Like, I don't want to have to carry around a dongle with me. No. Like, if I want to plug a USB drive into my laptop to go, copy a file over, right? Oh, blink, right in.
I plugged it in. Wow, it works. That's incredible.
The one design decision that Apple made that I think was a stupid one, like, okay, fine, USB-C, okay, fine. Like, I don't necessarily like the fact that you got to use a dongle with it and things like that, but I really think, especially on the laptops, the one thing they shouldn't have gotten rid of is the SD card slot. Especially, here's why.
Does anyone even use those?
Yes, they do. Photographers, video people who are doing video, things like that.
I mean, that's true, but I think that a lot of end users, they don't use that.
Yeah, but okay, think about it. Okay, who primarily, especially in the Pro products, who primarily is Apple trying to target?
Okay, well, in that case, maybe the higher end models should have them, and the lower end models.
Because for Apple for years has been this whole it's the content creator's machine, brand and things like that. So I think for content creator, if you're a photographer on the go, or you're a YouTuber or something like that, or things like that, I think on a Pro model, you should still have an SD card slot. So
I think that seems reasonable. Yeah, I mean, why not?
That and maybe a headphone jack. I don't know. I'm still on the. It's funny. I was listening. It's funny. I was listening to Linus from over at Linus Tech Tips talk about this a couple weeks ago, about how the average. We forget this being in the tech world, that average consumers don't think about the same things that we think about. Like,
that's true, but I want a headphone jack.
Right.
On it.
But to the average consumer, it's not as big of a deal as it is to us.
I guess the average consumer is just gonna whip out their $100 and whatever wireless earbuds. Use them.
If you don't lose one first.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I'm that dork that wears over-ear headphones, so I will not. And I've had a wireless pair. In fact, I still do. I use them occasionally when it's less practical to use a big, bulky pair. And, man, I really prefer the wired pair.
Oh, I think you just get much better sound quality out of a wired.
Now, I will be fair to the Bluetooth pair.
Bluetooth has gotten much better.
The quality is if you gave me a blind test and said, okay, one of these is wireless and one of these is plugged, I would not tell the difference, because the Bluetooth pair, you can use it wired and it's fine. It's great, it's fine, whatever. You can use it wireless, same deal, it's fine, whatever. The only thing you have to worry about is getting it connected and using making sure the battery's charged. But now I found the Bluetooth pair to be very, very easy to use with a phone or a tablet or just any kind of a mobile operating system. Very easy to use, work great. With a PC, man, that thing was a nightmare.
Yeah.
It would, like, you just have to be disconnecting it and removing it from the computer and then repairing it and all kinds of stupid stuff, and you got it working. It's like a Jenga tower. You got it to work, and you just don't look at it. You don't even look at it funny. Or
I think you're right though. In terms of, I think one of the biggest things about Bluetooth headphones is that you have to have a good experience with it.
Yeah.
And if not, then it's completely crap. But anyway, no. So, like, I love these over-the-ear headphones that I'm using right here. Like, these things are awesome. Now,
I've had my pair of Sennheisers for
I will admit,
3 years.
I only use these headphones when I stream, but they're comfortable. I can wear them for hours and things like that. When I'm consuming audio off of my laptop or my phone, the included earbuds that came with my Samsung Galaxy S9 are actually a pretty solid pair of earbuds. They sound really nice. So I will admit that I use those for consuming a lot of my other content. But anyway, I just am not in the whole bandwagon of going Bluetooth. Like, you gotta pair it to the device, and then you gotta make sure the batteries are charged. And of course, the battery never is. It's just a hassle.
The pair that I had about 7 hours of battery life. They're pretty decent.
It's just
they don't
the fact
take long
that
to charge either.
it's just
I
the fact
had
that
a decent experience with it, but there is definite. What I'm saying is there's totally something to be said for just being able to plug it.
Oh, for
the
sure.
3.5mm jack should not be removed from devices.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna think about like a new phone, for example, I want to have that.
And that is exactly why I went for a Samsung Galaxy S9 over the Google Pixel. I was looking at the Pixel because it was an intriguing
very
phone.
Sad to hear the Pixel doesn't have one because
you know what?
I'm intrigued by the fact that the Pixel runs just the stock version of Android. I want that.
Here's the thing though. So the not flagship versions, but the kind of like more like kind of stripped down versions, I guess, which are, from what I understand, are still decent phones. Like the Google Pixel 3a or whatever they're calling it does have a headphone jack on it.
That's interesting, I guess.
So
otherwise I could buy a like one of those Chinese phones. They're like the flagship killers.
Like a OnePlus or Huawei
totally doesn't have any Chinese spyware in it.
Huawei, I think, is being banned from selling in the United States now. I
know
think.
they're like, there's all kinds of suspicion that these phones
are
Chinese spyware. But I mean, the fact is, like, if the Chinese want to know what I'm doing on my phone, well, I don't know how it's gonna help you with anything, but great.
I absolutely love this too, because like I totally had been saying Huawei wrong for the longest time. I thought it was Hawaii.
Oh, Huawei.
Yeah, it's pronounced Huawei.
It's the one that starts with an H, right?
Yeah.
It looks kind of like you would pronounce it Huawei or something like that.
Yeah.
Huawei? That's how you say it. Huawei. So the H is silent.
Yeah, something like that.
Huawei. Okay. Well, good to know. Huawei. I've never known how to pronounce that.
No, I didn't either.
I've never known how to pronounce that.
So, yeah, but it is Huawei. So, yeah. I noticed it because I was watching like other tech YouTubers. Was like, wait, oh, and then it like clicked in my head. So, anyway, it is going to be interesting to see what Apple does with the new Mac Pros here. But like, for what, $4,499? I expect some good hardware out of it. So, be interesting to see what they've got coming up. Anyway. So, moving on from one company that we love to bash on, let's bash on another company. Time for some Microsoft news. So, Yes. What I don't know what stupid things Microsoft has done this week, so let's go take a look here. Um Let's see. Oh, Microsoft warns 1 million computers are still vulnerable to major Windows security exploit.
Good stuff.
Microsoft revealed a major Windows security vulnerability earlier this month that could see a widespread wormable attack that spreads from one vulnerable computer to the next. We saw a similar flaw back in 2017, which led to the WannaCry malware causing mayhem for thousands of machines. I remember that.
I remember that too.
So while Microsoft released patches for Windows systems, even for older server and Windows XP machines, recent reports have revealed that there are at least 1 million systems connected to the internet that can be attacked. Holy crap. So, Microsoft is confident that an exploit exists for this vulnerability, warns the director of incident response at Microsoft Security Response Center. It's been only 2 weeks since the fix was released, and there has been no sign of a worm yet. This does not mean that we're out of the woods. That's actually an important thing to keep in mind. I don't know. They're saying it's going to be like WannaCry again. I don't think it's I don't think the exploit is the same thing as WannaCry though, because WannaCry was what was it? What kind of attack do they call that? I forgot.
Ransomware?
Yes, thank you. Yep, it was ransomware. Yep. And for anyone who doesn't know what ransomware is, please explain, Zach.
It's when they lock up your files they encrypt your files. And so in doing so, then they basically can say, well, if you pay us some bitcoins, we will decrypt your files.
Gotta love the
bitcoins or other cryptocurrency.
Right, because it's untrackable. Well, yeah, it's untraceable too.
It's okay, fair enough. I wasn't sure if they've figured out anything.
Well, as far as I know, it's still untraceable.
As far as we know, yeah. I mean, I guess if the FBI is tracing down people using bitcoins, they're probably not telling everybody about it.
So this guy notes that it was nearly 2 months after release of patches for the previous external blue exploit when WannaCry attacks began, and despite having 60 days to patch systems, a lot of machines were still infected. The Eternal Blue exploit was leaked publicly, allowing hackers to create malware freely. This new BlueKeep flaw has yet been publicly disclosed, but that doesn't mean that there won't be malware. It's possible that we won't see this vulnerability incorporated into malware, but that's not the way. Yeah, it's not the way to bet for sure. Let's see. So the new security exploit involves a critical remote code execution vulnerability in remote desktop services that exist in Windows XP, Windows 7, and server versions like Server 2003 and Server 2008 R2, as well as just the regular version of Server 2008. These operating systems still make up a big chunk of the overall Windows machines in use, especially in corporate environments. That's for sure. I would expect most corporate businesses to not be running on Server 2003 anymore, but maybe still Server 2008. And probably, actually, if I had to guess, probably Server 2008 R2, probably not just the regular Server 2008. So Microsoft is now strongly advising system admins to update machines as soon as possible. Of course.
Well, that seems reasonable, yeah, I dare say.
For sure. Steps to, here's the thing. Steps to I know Zach is totally against it, but steps to protect yourself. Updates.
Update, yeah. Well, I'm against it because my computer doesn't work when Microsoft decides to update it.
So. Here's an update for you. Oh, blue screen. Forget it.
That's basically it, yeah. That's where we're at.
I love that. I love how the system finally was just like, oh, for freaking sake, forget it. We'll just revert you back to the version that worked.
Yup. That's literally what happened.
Oh. Were you freaking out, though, when your system was blue screening?
Not Not really. I was kind of like, well, I guess I'll have fun after work.
That like great. There is nothing worse than having to reinstall Windows, I think. Like it's just a giant pain in the rear end.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Like I said, that's what I'm gonna do now that you sent me a cool tool, like a cloning tool. So that's what I need to do. I need to build a version of Windows that like is already kind of stripped out with some stuff in it and things like that, like Chrome and Firefox and like some other like tools and things, and then just use that as a development copy to like
that's not a bad idea.
Like a disk image to like boot stuff off of. So if I build one, I'll send it over to you too, because at some point you're gonna need that when you rebuild your system. That would be awesome though. You know how much faster I could deploy systems at that rate then?
Oh, be crazy, huh?
Oh, for sure. Hopefully it gets rid of all the stupid bloatware too that Microsoft just loves to cram in there. So, anyway. All right. This, I was talking to you about this yesterday, and this right here is cool. So, I use a mechanical keyboard. Zach uses the mechanical keyboard. We both use the Corsair Strath keyboard.
Oh, yeah. That thing.
But I have silent keys on mine. You don't. But anyway, so SteelSeries has a new keyboard that has adjustable switches for gaming and typing. This is actually really cool. So mechanical keyboard enthusiasts often don't need an excuse to buy new keyboards. I don't know if I necessarily
I know somebody who owns like 3 of them.
Really?
Yeah, he's crazy.
But for those who do, there really hasn't been a one switch fits all solution to date. So if you're into competitive gaming, for example, you'll probably want something like ultra responsive red switches with low actuation points. But if you need something for long form writing, you'll likely want a higher actuation point to provide more satisfying feedback and help prevent typos. Interesting. SteelSeries' latest keyboard, the Apex Pro, is designed to be the best of both worlds, a keyboard that both gamers and writers alike can use. So it's all down to the new switch design, which lets you adjust the actuation point on the fly to meet the task in hand. And this is what's cool, Zach. You can set up different profiles.
Really?
Yes.
That's neat.
So let's say, and as far as I know, you can set up different profiles, I think, based on software too. So if you opened up Word,
yeah.
like I think it can be set up so that it just automatically switches to that profile.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I know that like the Corsair peripherals can do that too.
Right. So like whenever I open up Word, my keyboard automatically stops the rainbow effect and it's just a solid blue effect. Like just solid blue keys. I don't know why I chose that. Probably because Word is actually blue and I didn't want... Oh, it's actually not working. I might have to go back and reset that up. Oh, it used to, and I don't know if I reincorporated that back in. I think my theory was that I wanted just a straight color because I didn't want the rainbow effect to like distracting the crap out of me while I was typing, but it's not a big deal because I don't really look at the keys that much anyway. So
yeah, I do a pretty subtle effect on mine, so I don't
you like
have to worry too much.
I don't know. Since I've gotten my keyboard, like I've just kept it on the rainbow effect. I don't know. I think it's the most subtle one. But you kind of change yours up every now and then, don't you?
Very rarely.
So I will say this though. I was looking at. I sent you those new keycaps that I was looking at. I think those would look sweet on my keyboard.
Oh yeah, I saw those. Those look pretty cool.
I think I'm gonna do it. Just have some fun. But anyway, so SteelSeries, I don't know though. I might spend the money on this thing depending on how much it is. SteelSeries' latest keyboard, the Apex Pro, is designed to be. Oh yeah, I just read that. Okay, let's move down. So SteelSeries is calling this technology the OmniPoint switch because of the switch's magnetic sensors. Yeah, that's right, magnetic sensors. There's no like.
Curious how that works.
so here's how it works, okay? So it's by the magnetic like basically it senses the magnetic force or something like that.
Right.
So yeah. I don't remember. There's a video that explains it. But because of the Switch's magnetic sensors, you are able to adjust the actuation point. The point of travel at which a keystroke is registered, which is between, get this, 0.4 millimeters, Zach, and 3.6 millimeters.
That's some pretty serious variation.
For sure. The bottom end of the scale would make it perhaps the most responsive gaming keyboard on the market and probably usable by normal humans. While the top end, would make it a crunchy typing keyboard that require quite a lot of force to use. Oh, here we go. Here you go, Zach. Boink. So that's
1 second.
That's I'm gonna share this real quick here. Oh, son of a biscuit.
Oh, watch your mouth there, sir.
Son of a biscuit. What the flip? That's weird. Huh, I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. I'll have to fix that seam. Anyway, okay. So, this is the Switch right here. So, it actually does have a spring in it, but yeah. So, kind of cool. Like, this really is the best of both worlds, though. If you want like a super tactile, like, Switch, like, you can have that. But if you want something that's like gonna give you the performance to just like smash it, like, you're also gonna get that too. So, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So.
And there might even be like different different configurations that you want to use for different things.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like typing and stuff like that. So, anyway, but I don't know, like it's kind of intriguing.
For sure, yeah.
Hold on. I'm playing with something real quick.
Sure.
Oh. I wonder if Nvidia screwed up their graphics driver recently, or one of my monitors is just acting up. Because like
going on with
my secondary monitor, like sometimes like it'll still display an image, but maybe it's with Firefox. It might be with Firefox actually. Oh no, it's not. Like sometimes like my secondary monitor, like I'll open a program up and you'll like see the animation go over to the other screen, but it will never actually pop up. But I can move the mouse over there and move it around and things like that. It's weird.
Weird, yeah.
I think it's some stupid like graphics driver error or something like that. I don't know, but anyway. But yeah. So SteelSeries has developed its own customizable software for the keyboard, but you're also able to adjust the settings directly through the use of a clicking scroll wheel, a secondary button, and a monochrome OLED display on it. Oh yeah, that's right. It's got an OLED display on it. The screen can be used to display things like Discord notifications and in-game stats. It's kind of cool. Or you can put GIFs on it. Yeah.
Of course you would.
Yeah. So here's that. Anyway, this is interesting. This is that they don't think this is going to be the keyboard for everyone. Because
I mean, it almost seems to me like that's the opposite. Like they wanted to be a keyboard for everyone. Hence why they gave it such customizability.
Oh, but here's the thing. Okay, it says the feel of the key switches themselves are basically like Reds. But that's fine. I like Reds. That's what I've used.
Yeah, I like Reds, but I guess not everybody likes Reds.
Right. Some people are going to want like that blue or something like that. But yeah, so if you want the tactile clicky bump of a blue switch, then this won't be for you. But it's definitely an innovating design that can make sense for a lot of people. Here's the thing. Maybe in like a version 2, maybe they do make it with a more tactile kind of like switch option.
Well, I'm not sure if the whole like magnetic dealio would allow that, would it?
Oh, you know what? That's a good point too, because you're not going to be able to change the tactile like actuation force. I don't think.
Yeah, so I don't know how that would work.
That's a good point. So the Apex Pro will be shipping in a couple of weeks for $200.
Oh, no thanks.
It's still pretty new. Yeah, but okay, you have to think like the magnetic the magnetic technology in it is probably not cheap. From what I understand, it took them like 5 years to develop.
Okay.
It's got an OLED like little panel in it. Like it's not huge, but it's still an OLED panel. RGB on there, so that costs you some money. It's probably worth it for the features and things like that.
I mean, if you are a keyboard enthusiast, absolutely. But I still like my Strafe. I don't know. If I got a new keyboard, I would probably get... I'd buy another Corsair keyboard. I like this one.
Oh yeah,
I guess I've never had a different mechanical keyboard, so
I like my Strafe too. Like it's a solid keyboard. Build quality is good on it. This is a heavy keyboard too. Like this isn't
it's
like
pretty hefty.
Yeah, this isn't like your average
It's
like
not that hefty, but yeah, it's decent.
No, but compared to a normal keyboard though,
Yeah, this is obviously a higher build quality than your average crap keyboard.
Your average crap keyboard. I like that.
Wow, I'm talking about like your average like junk OEM keyboard,
Yeah. So I don't know. This is a really nice keyboard to type on too. I really like.
It's fantastic to type on.
I love this keyboard. So anyway, alrighty. Now that we've geeked out over keyboards, let's here we go, Zach. Let's talk about it.
Oh,
we're doing it. We are doing it.
Doing it.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Ryzen 3000.
For sure. What do you want to say about it? Because this is your department.
Here's what I want to say about it, and this is going to be, I don't know. This is going to be a little bit. What are we looking for? I don't know. Maybe less positive than you would have imagined, but where are my 16 cores?
Threadripper, dude.
I know, that's exactly what it is. Threadripper is where the 16 cores are.
Threadripper. I thought you were planning on going Threadripper.
Well, yeah, but then then the rumor mill piped up and was like, "Hey, Ryzen 3000 is just around the corner. Maybe you should wait." And I was like, "Oh, you're right. Maybe I should wait." And then I waited, and Ryzen 3000 was not really right around the corner.
Yeah,
But now we've waited, and Ryzen 3000 really is right around the corner. So,
is it 7 nanometer too?
Yes, 7 nanometer.
Hey, Intel, take that!
Well, Intel is currently struggling with 10 nanometer. Right?
I know, that's what I said.
I'm sure they will catch up soon enough. But,
maybe.
I mean, again, the price to performance is what we're looking at. And
for sure.
The price for the amount of hardware, like the top end chip, the 3900X, costs $500 with 12 cores and 24 threads. Like, you're not going to find anything like that with Team Blue.
Yeah.
It's not.
Okay, so yeah, the Ryzen 9 3900X, 12 cores, 24 threads, with a base frequency of 3.8, a boost frequency of 4.6. You thought that was going to be on at least 2 cores.
No, the boost. Oh, sorry, you said 4.6?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm. The L3 cache, 64 megabytes.
64 megabytes of level 3 cache. That is humongous. And the size of the level 3 cache kind of, rises in tandem with the size of the other cache. So, yeah, I know that some applications really like to have a fat cache to play with.
So PCI Oh yeah, that's right. PCI 4.
And PCI Express Gen 4, a bit of future proofing going on here. I'm not sure there's too many devices which are really maxing out Gen 3.
And this is what I thought was amazing was the TDP on it of 105 watts for 12 cores and 24 threads.
See, here's the reason for that. The reason for that is that 7-nanometer architecture. That is much more power efficient.
For sure. For sure. Gonna set you back $500, but for 12 cores, 24 threads?
And now, let's see. It's not that
See,
it's not that sorry, it's not that the where was I going with this? It's not that, you know, they're especially like geniuses for you know, reducing the TDP that much, but that's just what happens when you lower the size. Sorry, I was distracted by something. Yeah, when you lower the process size, the TDP goes down. It's not that they're just like wizards for reducing the TDP of it. You know, if anybody did the same thing, you know, the TDP goes down.
well, okay.
But
Let's look at this though. Okay.
but getting there first is definitely cool.
Let's look at this though. Okay, so I just sent you over the specs for the Core i9 9900K. Let's compare here. 14 nanometer. Okay. 8 cores, 16 threads, 95 watt TDP. And you've got a starting price at like $479.99. Now, I'm sure your IPC is a little bit higher still with the Intel chip, but
Now, it's said that Ryzen 3000 CPUs are actually better in IPC.
really?
I don't have any source for this information, but I heard it.
Let's continue to look at the rest of this. So, because the third gen now, well, okay, third generation of the chips, technically Ryzen Gen 2, because let's not forget that the second generation of the Ryzen chips, or second series, is not Ryzen 2. It's still Ryzen 1.
Yes. So, okay, there's like two architectures at play here.
Right.
You know, the Zen 1 and the Zen 2 architectures are at play. The Ryzen 1000, I guess, I don't know, the initial series is that Zen 1 architecture.
Right.
The Ryzen 2000 series, again, that's the same architecture. You know, they've made some improvements, but it's still the same.
Right.
Same architecture.
Now we're on architecture.
This is where we're getting the big improvements.
Right.
They've moved to 7-nanometer. They say they've increased the IPC.
And the release of Ryzen 9 now.
Well,
because previously
I mean,
Ryzen 9 wasn't
not
there.
really an architecture thing. Though.
No,
just
but now
we've
you
made
get
some changes to our brand.
right. But now you get Ryzen 9. So we see another, shall we say, series? I guess maybe. So, but still, like, that's still really impressive. Even like the Ryzen 7 3800X, where you're still getting 8 cores and 16 threads for $400, 105 watts of TDP on that thing, and you're getting 32 megabytes of L3 cache, and you're still getting PCI 4 Express, or PCI Express
Gen 4.
Gen 4.
I'm curious where that's going to go in the future, but I don't really think there's too many devices which take advantage of that at the moment.
Right, and let's even look at the low end here. The Ryzen 5, the 3600. You're still looking at 6 cores, 12 threads, which is more than we can...
Right, we are kind of gravitating towards the high end. We should take a look at the rest, though.
Right.
It's actually important.
$200 there. But here's the most important thing, and we talked about this. You're not technically getting hyper-threading on it, but what did you say it was?
Well, it's SMT, simultaneous multi-threading.
Right,
you're getting.
SMT.
And Intel is real keen to kind of segment that. seems, into their higher tier products for some reason. But
that and the Core i3. Why does the Core i3 have hyper-threading?
Well, because if it didn't have the hyper-threading, it would just be a Pentium.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. That's what you said.
But yeah, I mean, I really like, this time of increased competition from Team Red seems like hardly the time for Intel to go around removing a very long-running staple feature of their product.
Right. And here's the thing.
Segmenting it off into the more expensive models, but that's what they've done.
Right.
Better or
and
worse.
This is what I wanted to talk to you about last night, but I wanted to save it for the show. And that is let's back up a little bit here, because here's the thing, okay? So for a long time, AMD has kind of had this whole kind of stigma behind it, at least for a while, that, they're not as good as Intel, and they carried that around, and Intel has been riding on that. But now AMD is starting to make these enhancements. And I think when you saw, like the first gen of Ryzen, right? The very first, the initial chips that came out, right? Everyone was like, okay, here's, AMD doing their new thing. Yeah, it kind of looks impressive. And then people started to see, they're like, oh, okay.
It's pretty cool.
Right. And then second generation, the second gen
and
chips
the thing
came
that
out.
made people take notice, I think, was the compelling prices that were
Right.
on some of these
Right.
chips.
But
they had to, AMD was left with no other choice but to kind of price out the competition.
Right.
That's the wrong way to
But I think here's the thing though. So then, your second generation of the chips comes out, right? Your second series of the chips comes out, right? Now people they've already seen the first series, They're kind of on board with the second series now. Now this thing's starting to build some momentum. Now we're into the third series now, and AMD has been now building this good, reputation with, a chip that actually is like, it's a good chip. It's a good chip for the price that you're paying for. I wonder really what's going to happen now with the market for the third series of chips now. And is Intel actually in trouble now? Because I think what happened is for a while there, Intel was kind of looking at it like, okay, fine, yeah, they're up and coming, but like I don't think the Ryzen architecture had really gained the traction that it necessarily needed. I think with this third release of, this third series of chips now, Intel should probably start to be looking at what it is that they're going to do to stay relevant.
Well, it helps that, like Gen 2 wasn't just a continuation of it, right? Like they improved it and they also ironed out a lot of the problem. Because in Gen 1 there were some legitimate considerations to be made as far as,
and you know what? I think that's
CPU is good at, and there are things that the CPU is not very good at.
And I think that's fair, though.
The biggest thing was this CPU is just flat out not as good at gaming. If you want the higher end gaming system, you need to buy an Intel.
Right, but they have worked that out.
Yeah, and they did work that out to a significant extent and with Gen 3, I mean, if there is any validity in the claims that they have improved the IPC beyond what Intel competition is, yeah, that's great. Then it's going to be a no-brainer.
Right. And that's why I'm very curious to see how these new chips, once we see some real-world numbers, how they are going to stack up to the offerings from Intel, and to see how Intel responds. It's kind of weird, if you think about it.
Well, I think that how Intel responds is going to be dictated by how they stack up against Intel.
For sure. But let's say this, okay? Let's say AMD has ironed out the issues. They built a chip they've already built a chip that has crazy performance on it. 12 cores, 6, or what did we say?
24 threads.
Yeah, 12 cores, 24 threads. Like, that's insane. Right? But now, let's add possibly some gaming performance on there that is just as good, if not better, possibly, than what Intel is offering, and for a lower price? Whew. Like, I'm really curious if that happens, what Intel is going to do to stay relevant. They're going to have to do something. They're gonna have to do something. Do they bring hyper-threading back to their lower-end CPUs, the i5, the i7? Do they slash their
calling
prices?
the i7s their lower-end CPUs is honestly kind of absurd.
Okay, fine. Really? Because last time I checked, apparently the i9 is the only one that has hyper-threading on it.
Oh no, I'm just talking about saying that the i7 is like a lower-end product. It is lower than the i9, but it's that's still a high-end product, and they're just taking features away from it to
Exactly.
What a silly decision.
I think that was a dumb decision, especially given what was happening in the market at the time.
Like, at least for me,
right, but okay.
It kind of ruined there were legitimate reasons you could buy either product, I think, right?
Right.
But now what is?
But okay, but let's look at this.
Now it's a no-brainer.
Right. Because let's look at this, right? Okay, so what does the i7 have going for it? Okay, you get less performance out of it for a higher price. Oh, and there's no hyper-threading in it.
I mean, these days you basically only have clock speeds and IPC.
Right, and if AMD is closing the gap on that,
and IPC is up for debate, it seems.
Right, that's what I said. If AMD is closing the gap on that. Like, Intel's going to be in trouble, maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
It's going to be interesting. And I wonder if... Because, okay, like, the price to performance right now, decent, right? But is this going to force Intel to drop prices? And is AMD... going to... I don't know how much wiggle room AMD has, but does that mean that we're going to see possibly more competitive chips from both companies here?
Well, we've already seen the effects of this. When Ryzen launched, it was no coincidence that around that time is when Intel started to put more cores into their i7 and i5.
Right.
And I think there's even...
Right, but they didn't drop their prices.
In the i7 and i5 chips. So they did not drop the prices, but they did at least give you more for your money. But
yeah, but it still didn't stack up to what AMD was offering.
You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong about that, but yeah. But now, I mean, if AMD is closing the gap on just about everything, like, man, just about the only reason left to buy Intel is for the brand name.
Right? And I don't know, like, I think there are obviously still going to be workloads where an Intel processor is going to be better.
Yes, I'm sure that's still going to be a thing. If you're doing such and such specific application that just loves Intel chips, CPUs.
Here's the thing, though. And that is that, think about this, though. How many pre-built systems right now? Because here's the thing you got to think about. Because, again, we think of this in terms of... And I think this is an important thing to mention, is that we think of this in terms of performance and things like that. We think that mindedly. But an average consumer, if I start talking about an Intel CPU and a Ryzen CPU, they're not going to give a crap. They just want a computer that works, that they can read their emails and watch their cat videos on YouTube. Well, I'm not wrong, am I?
You're not wrong, no.
So,
you're definitely not wrong.
And I think this is where AMD needs to start closing the gap, is that they need to start having their chips be built into more OEM systems.
They are kind of going that way.
They are, but definitely not the rate at what Intel is doing. And I think that's part of the reason Intel has been doing fine so far, is because in terms of the consumer market, like, Intel's doing fine.
Oh, Intel is definitely not in any financial trouble or anything like that.
Here's the problem.
I'm sure they're making plenty of money.
Right, so here's the problem then. Even though AMD, because that's the thing we got to think about, even though AMD is giving this insane amount of performance for the prices that they are, I think part of the reason, and I think we kind of forgot about it, But I think part of the reason why Intel has continued to do the same things that they've done, they've continued to keep the prices where they are, is because I don't think a lot of their core profit comes from probably the high end. Some of it obviously does, but I think they make most of their profit in the consumer market.
You're absolutely right. The OEMs are the ones that make them the most money. OEMs and data centers, businesses like the server CPUs. I'm fairly certain that those are the markets where they make way more money than we could even imagine. Right?
Here's an interesting thing. Oh, for sure. Here's an interesting thing though, is that like think about data centers though. You know, now we're looking at data centers want cores. They want threads.
Well, yes, and AMD have, I don't know if they've launched it yet, but this Rome server CPU is, again, said to be far ahead of the competition. And I think that if anything is going to make Intel sweat, it's going to be things happening in the data center space. The consumer space, they,
I think
obviously it's a hit to their name as well.
Once AMD can break into the data center space, but I think especially once they start breaking into the consumer space again in OEM built systems, then we are going to start to see some major
it'd be
response
interesting
from
to see the numbers, like
sure
how many people run Intel versus AMD these days versus 5 years ago, for example. Like 5 years ago,
I bet you
5 years ago you don't want to be running an AMD CPU.
I bet you
unless you're doing something very specific that for some reason works better.
Right, but think about it. Okay, so like the consumer market makes up the majority of the consumer, like the user base of chips, right? So I bet you Intel is probably still on top right now. Like now,
it does take time, obviously, for stuff like that to happen.
Right, but think about it, okay? The prosumer market, and we're just talking prosumer market, the gaming market, people like you and me, we make up a very, very small portion of the actual sales.
Oh, if high-end people stopped buying boxed Intel CPUs, they wouldn't even notice.
Exactly, and that's why I say Intel still has the market share. Like they've got the hold on the market right now, and I think it's probably why we've continued to see Intel continue to operate the way that they've operated. I think what will really cut into their profits and start to create some kind of urgency to restructure something will be that, and I'm sure they're still relying on their name, for sure. In fact, I know they are. But I think once AMD, if and when they do break into the consumer market, they start putting the chips in OEM built systems. Once AMD can get into that market, then I think we'll start seeing some response from Intel. Until then, though, I don't know. I think Intel may continue to kind of follow the same path that they have. I'm curious to see, however, though, what happens with the release of the Ryzen, of Ryzen 2. I think it's going to be interesting. This would be interesting. I would like to see the numbers for the prosumer market right now of AMD versus Intel right now. Forget about data center. Forget about the regular consumer market. Just prosumer right now. That I think would be
interesting. Yeah. Sure.
That I think would be interesting to see those numbers. So, anyway, but big things are happening. It's gonna be cool.
I think we've been down this path before. This path of discussion.
Right. But new things are happening. I don't think we've ever looked at the consumer side of things though, and I completely forgot about that. But that's why Intel's not hurting, like not responding like I thought that they were going to initially. So anyway, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But the future is definitely interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're not stupid. They will do what they can get away with.
For sure. They're writing on their name right now, I'm still sure. and they still hold the market share in terms of overall.
Well, not only just the name, but like, for example, deals we have with certain companies.
Exactly.
Maybe they've been supplying such and such company for a really long time, and they have some kind of, I guess, they have a significant say in what that company does.
Yeah, or some kind of agreement, some kind of contract or something like that.
Contracts as well, yeah.
The CPU space is getting interesting. And it's getting interesting.
Oh, it's been getting interesting for a while.
For sure, and it's only going to continue. But I think the next thing is to wait until we have real world numbers and see what happens.
Yeah, and for sure. Like, what I'm probably going to do is, when this stuff launches, I'm going to go buy one, and then I'm going to hold on to it. And I'm going to read about it. And then, if I don't like it, I'll bring it back. I won't even open it.
Oh, for sure.
I intend to upgrade my computer at that time. So, if I really, really don't like it, I'll just buy something.
I think you will, though, probably.
I'm sure it will be fine, yeah. I mean, just based on what they've done. Like, let's just pretend that this was merely a Ryzen 2000 type CPU with more. I'd still buy it. I don't care. I'd still buy it for that much money.
Right. Like, I was super skeptical when I switched over. I do not notice any issues with my system in day-to-day tasks. At all.
Why would there be?
At all. I know.
There's no reason for there to be any issues.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't even tell the difference in day-to-day tasks. Now, when I'm doing creative things, rendering videos, stuff like that, oh, for sure. But just general day-to-day tasks, no different than my Intel CPU in here. Like, it worked great. Anyway. I think that's a good place for us to stop for this week. We've ranted enough.
Blah, 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 blah.
For sure. Anyway, as always, thank you for joining us. If you liked it, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Get subscribed if you haven't done that already. Turn on the bell for notifications. That does it for us this week. We will see you back same time, same place next week. Actually, not same time. We were late this week. Anyway, we'll see you back next week, hopefully. And yeah.